Welcome everyone to Petals Bloom Monday live on YouTube. And of course, it's always good to be in this space and to be able to share with you and interact with you all. Is like I really enjoy it. And my name is Kimberly Garth, and I am the founder of Petals Bloom. So I started writing um, blog posts in 2018 when I was still single, and but I actually launched, I think, the first article probably the beginning of January in 2019. So I've written over 130 articles at the moment, and then during the pandemic period, I began to record the YouTube videos. I stopped maybe like twice for camera and computer issues, but now I'm back in action and I think I've been more or less consistent, and it's just been so good to be able to be in this space where I can, just be a blessing. At least that's my hope. So, so what transpired this week? Well, John, my husband, has been reading a book about Charles Spurgeon, and he was just sharing with me that he read like 6 books per week. Of course, I was immediately inspired to read more. Before I would read like 24 books in a year, and I'm like, wait, that's in comparison to his the amount of reading. I haven't been reading that much. So I want to be able to make time to definitely read more, because those are the kind of persons that, just inspire me because they have impacted the world for Christ. And I definitely want my life to count for Christ. And just being able to learn and grow and spend time in God's word and read good books. I'm all about that life. So I hope that would inspire you. And I mean, it's good to listen to books, but for me, when I listen to a book, I get information, but it's just like I get like an overall feel, and I get the points in a general way. But when I actually read, I feel I get more meat, I get more substance from reading than from merely listening to a book or listening to a podcast or anything like that. I get benefit. I'm all for that, but I think nothing could beat reading, actually reading material, whether it's web um, articles on the web, whether it's books themselves. But you see, a book has a lot more, and I think it's like when you read a book, it's more or less like the author is mentoring you or discipling you, because you can get a lot more meat around each chapter and each topic. It just delves a whole lot more than just a simple article. So I want to do a lot more reading. I don't know when I'll ever make it to 6 books per week, but as you read more and more, you're able to read faster. And I'm guessing that is what, because he was reading a lot, such a voracious appetite for reading, that I'm almost certain his ability to read content became quicker. So, yeah, that is one of my inspirations this week. Oh, and then um, last week Friday went to a waterfall. Yeah, and I really enjoyed it. I mean, I didn't necessarily go inside, but I really enjoy nature. Yes. So that was also a highlight for me in this past week. So I know this topic, Valentine's is coming up, and some of you just don't care, and that's good. But some of you, um, it is a time that you might be dreading because you don't have anyone to send you flowers or chocolates or whatever is your thing. And so I don't know where are you at with that, but I hope that you would enjoy the day and be among some single sisters, and just go out and have a blast instead of thinking about or waiting someone to take you out. Yeah, take each other out and have some fun. Treat yourself. Go for massage, go for a facial, go for dinner, brunch, lunch. Yes, do something for yourself on that day instead of thinking about what you don't have. Enjoy what you do have. All right. So I hope you have a good time next week when it hits. And so today, the topic is on finding love when you're older. And I think I also want to say a shout out to my male viewers. I know I have a few faithful male viewers. So some of them I know in person, and they're like, oh, Kim, I like that topic. Okay, I didn't agree with that point. Okay, you nailed it. Excuse me. So all the guys who tune in, thank you. I appreciate the subs, the sub. I appreciate the view that you give. And some of you all see it like every week. I'm grateful. I'm grateful. And I hope that if at any point in time you want to give a little piece of advice to the single woman, or you disagree with a point, feel free to email me, and we can have a discussion on it, or you can just give me like a topic that you would like me to discuss that you'd want the single woman to hear. And I don't know if I'll. So one guy told me I need to have a blog or a YouTube channel for giving advice to men. Now, I don't know, that's my kind of thing. Although I feel like there are a lot of men giving advice to women, and they're quite popular. And, well, I guess if women are trying to get married to a man, then they definitely need to hear from a male perspective. So I could understand why they would be quite popular among women. But for me, my advice is to single women, and it is based on my own experience, the books that I've read, the women who have discipled and mentored me. And it's just like a collective wisdom from all these sources, and in particular, the Word of God. And I want to have balance. I feel like too many times we're on an extreme where we tell single women they need to be content in being single, and then on the next extreme we are there's a we could think of just letting them know that you know marriage is all about getting married. And I feel like we need to have a proper balance. And my balance is, while you're still single, live it up. But if you're really desiring to get married, then you need to prepare yourself. Just like in your career, you don't just go to um you just don't born and then immediately you just go to university. You have to take different steps, like primary school, secondary school, in order for you to be equipped, prepared for you to end up at a college. Right? You must go through the steps. You must learn how to read, to write, critical processing, critical thinking skills. There's so many things that need to be in place for you to be ready to thrive at college. So similarly, while you're single and you want to get married, you need to be able to prepare yourself practically so that when you do get married, you will have a good marriage. And I'm not about people just getting married, because anybody could just get married. But I want you to be able to stay married and have a God honoring marriage. That's my aim. If it's not God honoring, if it's not Christ centered, maybe you should just stay single. Because what is the point? Excuse me. All right. So let me dive in today's topic, finding love. Okay, my iPad just blanked out. Finding love when you're older. And when I'm thinking of older, I think women start to get a bit antsy, a bit concerned about remaining single, maybe in their early 30s. And if a person on average lives about maybe 70 years, then um, mid age would be around like 35 or so. And so those are the times when that's the time when people generally begin to feel a bit fearful if they have their sights on marriage that, oh my goodness, what am I doing? I I don't know when it's going to happen. I don't know if it's ever going to happen. So I am talking about the persons who are in their maybe early 30s onward and older. And and the fact is, the longer you take to get married, the more difficult it becomes because, of course, there are less available, eligible, well, single men. Okay, and that's just a fact. But that does not mean that you cannot get married, because if there are 8 billion people in the world, surely God, who is great and big, the God of the impossible, He can organize you to get married. He can bring someone, connect you with someone. All right, and maybe He has already. All right, so for those who are live, you can always say hi in the chat and where you're from. I just love to, be able to shout out for those who are here. So for me, I got married later in life, and I needed a lot of, many of my mindsets were very faulty, although I think some of them were quite spiritual, but it weren't necessarily spiritual. And I had to change a lot in order to be ready for John, who I eventually married. So there's some tips that I want to present to you, and some mindset shifts that are required if you're really serious about getting married, regardless of your age. So when you look around, you can see that people get married at different ages. I'm sure maybe the majority of persons might get married in their 20s, but then there are people getting married in their 30s. Persons getting married in their 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, even 80s. So it's not an impossible thing for a person to get married at any age. What what is someone else's reality does not have to be your reality. Okay. So I got married later in life, and my first point is you need to become a humble woman and resist superiority. So when you're getting older and you are successful in your career, your income is decent, you are growing in your maturity in your walk with the Lord. So sometimes you can end up feeling that you are more superior to others, in particular to men. And you might not think it, but the way you operate, the way you behave, it communicates that you feel that you are better than others. All right. So it is quite easy to be able, I mean, it's just subtle. It's just very, very, very subtle. And sometimes you need someone who will be truthful to you to let you know that you come across as a woman who thinks that you are more superior to people around you. People who have less income, people who are not as spiritually mature, people who are not as who haven't advanced in their careers like you have. All right. So if you're here and you're liking the video, please like and subscribe and even share the video with others. So you might think that a man is intimidated by your professional progress in life and your income status and your income and your position in life. But the fact is, it may not be that the man is intimidated. No, he's just simply not interested because you come across as superior to him. And so, no healthy, respectful man, respectable man wants to be with a woman who will constantly remind him that he is her inferior. Okay? He doesn't want to be reminded that you make more money than him. He doesn't need to be reminded that you are an established, independent woman and you really don't need him. Okay? No one, no man, generally, unless he's an unhealthy man, wants to be around a woman who give out that sense that she is better than him. Because at the end of the day, God has placed a husband to be the head of the family. And deep within a normal man is that he wants to know that his leadership is important to you, his leadership is needed, that he has value in the relationship and in the marriage. And if he feels that he's not going to bring any value in that, you don't you will not value him, value his input, value his views, value that he brings value, he's not necessarily going to be interested in you. It does not matter. He doesn't need your money. I mean, a healthy man. You know, he doesn't necessarily need you to give him value in that way. All right. So, and men want to know that they provide value to you. So when you in when you are around a guy that you are possibly interested in, you have to make it very clear that you see him, you see what he contributes to the friendship, to the relationship, and make it known to him that you see that you appreciate him, that you are encouraged. You have to be his number one, become his number one encourager. So if a man feels that he's not important and valuable to you, then he'll be more inclined to go to another woman who will make him feel like $1 million. All right. So a few times I alluded to the guy who took over the McDonald's um, franchise, and I think the name of the movie is Ray. And one thing that stood out, I mean, he was a crook, right? But one thing that stood out to me about him was that his wife was a nag and she did not believe in him. And then he met this other lady who was married to someone else, and she believed in his dream and in his vision. And because of her pouring into him and believing in him, he divorced his wife and she divorced her husband and they married one another. So I'm not saying that that is good, that is downright ungodly, but you can just see how important it is for a man to be with a woman who believes in him, who accepts him as he is, and who sees him as valuable. Okay? So, my tips, some tips when it comes to um, being humble and not coming across as being superior to a man would be: do not boast about your salary, do not boast about your education. A matter of fact, don't be boastful. That's not Christ-like, but it can happen. Do not boast about your biblical knowledge or even your status in life. So I'm not saying that you should hide all that God has done, but He will find out eventually. And maybe you can, I mean, you probably might have to, as you're talking, you might disclose certain things, but there's one way to disclose information as factual, and another way you can express something in a way that makes you appear to be very boastful and arrogant and making others feel um, inferior. All right. Another way that you can, another tip I have for you is when you are at this level of, being a professional woman and you have a lot of things going for you, you have to be very intentional about practicing humility. And a practical way is be willing to serve others. So, what would help with you showing that you are a humble woman, a God fearing woman, is your willingness to serve others and possibly doing tasks that others or you might think is beneath you based on your status or your career advancements. Like happily serving others behind the scenes and not getting any No one complimenting or I mean nobody needs to know that you were the one behind certain aspects of it. I mean if they choose to, wonderful. But being just taking a background role at times, like for instance, like cleaning the churches after maybe a church event, cleaning the dishes after a church event, like going for a mop and a mop bucket if there's an unfortunate spill or something, if you are at maybe like a church event per se, like serving little children and elderly whenever you have opportunities, like cleaning dishes. There are things where I think it's important for us to just serve, just serve others. If you have see an elderly or someone having difficulty, someone who is disabled, you can just go and lend a hand. It doesn't matter what your income is like. It doesn't matter who you are. You might be the CEO of a company, well established. It does not matter. But having that mindset to humbly serve where it is needed, and it may not require any of your expertise. It might just require you just having hands and feet and a mouth. All right. So all men bring value because everyone is made in the image and likeness of God. So if you are interested in a guy, remember that he has certain gifts, talents, wisdom, expertise that you may not have. And so I would want to encourage you to open your eyes and to see the value of the men around you, even your family members, and begin to practice seeing good in men and seeing something about it and opening your mouth to compliment them, to encourage them. And if you make this a habit, even among the persons who are your cousins, your brothers, your father, your grandfather, just people in your life, it just becomes who you are, and it will naturally um, move, it will naturally benefit the men who might be looking on, who might be interested in you, and possibly your future husband. Another point is being positive and joyful. At the end of the day, a man wants to be with a woman who will bring value, and and he's asking, like one of my late pastor, he I remember he would say, a man, I think probably a woman too, a man is asking, can I live with her? So if he's around a woman, it doesn't matter your age and you're single and he's looking for a wife. I mean, it matters in age. He has what he might be interested in. Okay. But in general, if he's interested in you even a little bit, he's asking that question in his mind. Can I live with this woman? Can I get along? Can we both share a house together and be comfortable? Especially as a man gets older, he does not want stress, right? And so sometimes some men will not go for younger women because they think that they're immature. So they'll look for someone who is a little more seasoned in life because they believe that maybe she might have gotten over certain things and might be more emotionally mature to handle what a marriage brings. All right. So if a man feels good about being around you, then he might actually want you to play a greater role, role in his life, like for instance, his future wife. All right. Another point is as you get older, you have to be able, you have to have the mindset to take care of your bodies, take care of your body. So as you get older and remain single, you have a choice. Is either you let your body waste away, or you realize that you need to be a good steward of the body that God has given you. Hi, IPR. Welcome, welcome. And too often I see older women just not taking care of their bodies. They're not exercising regularly. They're not, their diet, their consumption of sugar and sugary goods is just too high. And they're putting on all this weight. I mean, this big thing about body shaming. But we have to know that food could be an idol to Christians, and we need to probably speak about it some more. All right? You need to take care of your body, my ladies. Take care of your body. exercise. Not only exercise. So some persons into exercising, but they're not into eating healthily. And it makes no sense. They go together. You need to exercise and you need to eat properly. All right? Especially reducing the amount of sugary um, foods that you eat and salt. But sugar is the most important. And even like, um, a flour turns into fat when it goes into turns into sugar. So you have to cut down on the white flour and cut down on the refined sugar goods and cookies and cakes and all of these wonderful things and the french fries and the hamburgers. You need to work on that, my sisters. If you want to get married, if you want to make yourself set apart to be the person that a man would choose, you need to be taking care of your body and not let your body waste away. So what another point I want to make is that if you've been single for a while and what you have been trying is not working, then you might need to get some extra help. And I'm talking about maybe humbly submitting yourself to a relationship coach so that someone can help you and show you some of the blind spots, some of the things that you have been ignoring. And it takes humility to come to the point where you realize that you need extra help. And nothing is wrong with that. I mean, if it's a priority for you, put some money where the need is so that you could move along this track quickly. All right. IPR says, Kim, speaking on cutting back on refined sugar, as I think about later eating the Kit Kat sitting on my dining table. Confession is good for the soul. So what you must do, right, IPR, is that the next time you go to the grocery, do not purchase any Kit Kat or any chocolates. Because if it's not in your fridge, if it's not on your table, if it's not, then you can definitely, then it'll be easier for you to resist if it's not in your house. All right, that's a tip right there. We need to be wise in our grocery, and if people are offering certain things and you know that you need to not do it, resist. Tell them, no, please don't offer me now, don't offer me in the future, in the next 6 months, because I am on a particular diet. I have a plan I'm working with, and please don't offer me. So Cassie K says, what are your thoughts on dating apps? Now, I am okay. I think that in this day and age, I think it's something that you can definitely explore. But my default will always be just meeting someone in person. But nothing is wrong with dating apps. I myself tried it and I got one good friend out of it. He didn't get married, and that's fine. But I did gain a good friend, a good male friend. Well, I wouldn't say a good friend, but I mean, he was a decent guy. He is a decent guy. Okay, IPR said I didn't even buy it. Okay, if a family member did, but totally agree. When it's not at home, you don't even look at it. True, true. Yeah, Cassie. So nothing is wrong, but I would recommend that if you are deciding to go that route, pay for it because you're the kind of you will be able to see people's profile better. They will be able to see your profile, your face, everything, and you have certain benefits when you pay for a dating app rather than just going for the free version. If you're serious about this thing, you need to pay. All right. So the next point is you need to be growing in your character continuously. So you never know when you're going to get married and you never know when you'll meet that person. But your reputation will pave the way for you. Now, I remember Nancy Lady Moss, I think her last name is Moth or something like that right now. And she has had a podcast and a blog for like many years. I think it started off on ministering to single women. And it is Revive Our Hearts, which I mean, that's a very good podcast. If you all want to be challenged and you want to grow in your walk with the Lord and you want to be challenged to know God's word, reviveyourhearts.com. Check it out. So I believe that Nancy was friends. Yeah, I believe she was friends with her husband, who's a husband now, and the husband's um, wife who passed away. And when the wife was dying, she told her husband, I want you to marry Nancy. No, I think that's like incredible, you know, because she has seen Nancy's character, Nancy's devotion. They have been friends. So she knows the type of woman Nancy was. And she told her husband, I want you to marry Nancy. And he obeyed. He married Nancy and they have a beautiful marriage from what I can see. From what she posts, I mean, they really have a good thing going. All right. So Cassie, no, John says, I have a friend who tried a dating app and is now married to an Australian man who is a minister or who's in ministry for 7 years now, and now they have two kids together. Yes, and a lovely couple. I know them as well, and they met online. So Cassie K said, okay, good to know. I'm 37 and it's harder to meet people in person. Thanks for the tips. Yeah, it's harder, but it's not impossible. And so Cassie said, whoa, thanks for sharing the testimony about your friend. Jonathan, very encouraging. Yeah, thanks for sharing, John. Yes, and they have two kids together, two lovely, pretty little girls. And their marriage is going strong. All right. So if you are growing in humility, you're growing in your love for God, you are treating people better, you are known as someone who forgives, as someone who is gracious, who is merciful, you're taking care of yourself. You never know. Somebody might lose some good man might lose his wife, unfortunately, but these things happen in life. We're not going to live forever on this side. And then he might be like, oh, a lot of men, I don't know if you know, but a lot of men probably before 80s, and if they've been married for a while, like maybe like above 10 years, and they've had a pretty decent marriage, a lot of men, they cannot remain single. They prefer to get married. And the ones that I know, they get married within 1 or 2 years after their wives have died. Quick, quick, quick. Because they have just benefited so much from marriage and they want the companionship of a good woman. So you might be 37, Cassie, and I don't know the ages of the rest of persons, but you can very well be marry a man whose wife has died and is a good man. And he's already know the ropes of being married, so marry better, easier to marry someone like that. Or it might be difficult too if he continues to compare you, but hopefully he'll be mature enough to know to keep his mouth shut and not compare you to his his deceased wife. So Jonathan says, LOL at can't remain single. It's true. A lot of men cannot remain like a Tony Evans. I don't know how long, maybe within 5 years, and his wife had passed and he got married. He remarried. I personally know of men who are like that. Good men in ministry, missionaries, and their loving wives died, and within 2 years, they get married. And most times people get married to somebody they know. And it's not like they were cheating emotionally and hoping that their wife died and they would marry someone else. No, when the wife died, I'm almost certain, I hope that is it, their eyes began to be open to see, look at Mary. Mary's a good woman. Mary keeps herself well. Mary knows how to respect men. Mary, I can see myself living with Mary. I can see that Mary is a woman who will treat my children and my grandchildren well, if he has grandchildren by that time. But some men might have children, and it might be older children like Tony Evans. But they are looking for a woman who will complement them for the next season of ministry, for the next season of life. All right. All right, Abra. Unfortunately, I have to go now. We'll watch the whole live later. No problem. Thank you very much, Kim, for your commitment. You're welcome, IPR. So Jonathan says, Are you having Cassie check on funerals? Hey, no, Cassie, you just check on your Lord. You just wait on your Lord. But But my point is continually growing in in your character, so that if it happens that a good man has become a widow, then you know, then is a possibility he might consider you. All right, you just never know. All right, I'm sure there are a lot of men looking at Tony Evans after his wife passed, but he married one though. All right, so your character, we're going back to your character. So when you interact with people at your work, in your communities, among your friends, what conclusions are people drawing about you? Okay, are you difficult to get along with? Are you difficult to work with? Do you come across as arrogant? Do you always have to win an argument? Do you always have to have the last word and get your point across by all means? You know, all these things are warning signs, and people just think, oh, you know, I'm a strong woman with a strong opinion and I must always give it. You don't always have to give it. You can just shut your mouth at times. The Bible says, in a multitude of words, sin is not lacking. So at times we have to zip our mouths and listen to others. And when we speak, think about how we could encourage someone else, and not only think about how we can give our opinions every single time. All right. So Keiichi says yes. So when a peer or a friend knows a good man who is looking for a quality woman, would you even enter that person's mind to think, okay, let me introduce Cassie to them. Let me introduce Roxanne to them. Let me introduce Mary to that particular person. So some women actually have no problem getting married and remarry and remarry. Like one of the persons that I love her literature. She's passed away now. Elizabeth Elliot. She was married like 3 times, and Elizabeth Elliot is not, well, wasn't. She didn't, the way she dressed wasn't a sexy woman. She had like, I don't think she even dyed her hair. You know, her grays were showing. But from what I've read, she wrote books like The Mark of a Man, Let Me Be Your Woman, Passion and Purity, something about splendor. I can't remember the name, but she wrote many books, and she's a no nonsense woman who would want to stick to scripture. So her first husband was Jim Elliot, and he died by the I think the Orca Indians killed him, and while he was doing missionary work. And then I think the second husband, I think he died of illness. And then when he died, um, two students, I don't know how old they were, came to get bored from her. And she had a daughter at that time. And I believe she married one and her daughter married one. All right. And I'm almost certain that he was much younger. But to think this woman is is the type of woman that men want to marry. And you know, and it doesn't matter your age, you know. I mean, for some persons, your age will matter, because if a man is looking and having lots of children, he might most likely choose to marry someone who is younger. All right. So I'm not talking about the category of those guys, but there are men who will be looking at and for a woman who is more seasoned in life, who is more mature, who is more settled, who is more emotionally stable, you know? So don't think that just because you're older, that it's not a possibility that you'll ever get married in life. All right. My next point is discover and deal with your blind spots and deal with your trauma issues that you may have in life. Because people are seeing it, eh? So just deal with it. Trust the Lord to reveal to you, and if somebody comes to you, a family member or a friend, and tells you, okay, you know, Kimberly, such and such is the case. You know, maybe there might be some truth to it, and you really might have a blind spot in that area. And instead of denying it, do some research. Maybe find out from somebody else. Find out from other people who will tell you the truth. You know, is this true about me? So it really might be a blind spot that you need to deal with. Okay. And then you have to deal with some of the issues that you may have. Like if your parents have had a bad marriage, you might be thinking, okay, well, I'm doomed. Their offspring, I might have a bad marriage as well, or I don't believe in marriages. Deal with those kinds of issues. If you've had a poor history of being with men, like you had bad experiences with men, you maybe need to go for counseling to deal with those kinds of issues so that you can give another man, a good man, a fair chance. All right. Another point is you might have to consider men who are younger than you, or men, as I mentioned, who are single again for whatever reason. So let's face the facts. If you're getting older, then you may need to consider men who are a little younger, and also men who are single again, which I just said. Like for instance, John is a few years younger than I am. Okay. And but I love my husband. My husband loves me. All right. So you can do like me and trust God for a guy who will pursue you, who will love you as you are, and nothing is wrong with marrying a guy who is a little older, a little younger, or a guy who is much older. Casey, I feel I will be so yes. Hey, Kay, life is too short. Why overthink these things? I just would recommend don't go too young, because then soberly you need to be thinking of the the challenges. You need to soberly think about the challenges that you will have to face if you marry someone who is much younger. All right. So I wouldn't. I don't know. I think I wouldn't necessarily go for too young, but it's an option. All right. So there's a demographic of quality men who are still single for several reasons, not even the ones who are very young. Maybe a relationship did not work out. Maybe he was focused on his career. So I know some men who they have never been married and they're in their 40s and they're good men. Okay. Maybe someone had one or two bad experiences with women, especially church women. Well, not especially Christian women, and then they decide that I am not even going to bother. My life is just peaceful as it is, and I am not interested until he meets a woman who will change his mind about that, and he realizes, maybe I should give up my singleness for this particular woman because I think she is a woman who will bring peace and joy and good companionship in my life. So Cassie say, send the ones you know away, please. See, Cassie, if you join my Understanding Adam program, and I know that I know some men, I will see if I can hook you up. Right? So if you're all interested in my Understanding Adam, because I only have like two persons interested right now, please email me at kimberly@petalsbloom.com and we will see what we can do. All right. So, as I mentioned, so men who are focused on their career, maybe they had a relationship that was like for years that did not work out and they just decide, forget about that. Maybe had bad experiences with some church women. Maybe, yeah, they just lost faith in good women because some women, some church women, not easy. So, and then I mentioned men whose wives have passed away and they're not looking for a young woman in their 20s. They're looking because they might think that is too much stress. They're looking for a woman who might be in their 30s, 40s, 50s, etc. Okay? Especially 40s and 50s, depending on maybe if he's in his 60s and 50s, they probably might be looking and he's like say a pastor in ministry or um, you know, there's some men, they just need quality. They're not necessarily looking for youth. They're just looking for good companionship. A woman who's mature spiritually, who is mature in her thinking, mature emotionally, mentally, etc. All right. So good to know. Just randomly stumble across this. Like, hey, Cassie, was a good thing you stumbled upon it. Welcome. Okay. The second to last point is prioritize family and the home. So you've been focused on your career for quite a while. But if you're serious about marriage, my sisters, you need to be a little more practical and you need to gain some skills that are useful in marriage. Learning to manage your home, Learn to take care of others. Because suppose you marry someone who has children, or suppose you marry someone who is a little older and the person has grandchildren. A man wants to know that you will be able to fit in with the family, that you are a woman who is nurturing, you could care for his children, even if they're grown, maybe the grandchildren. He will know that, yeah, you have a woman who have a soft heart. Maybe you can make a little pie, cook a little soup, all right? So learn to be a little domesticated, and you can be a career woman, but you do not necessarily, you don't have to think that housework is beneath you. I mean, you can think it, but I want you to change your mind to doing and getting some skills that will help you to care for others in your life. Practical help. All right. If a man has elderly parents, he would want to be with a woman who could be able to assist him and maybe take a little food, maybe go and help out sometimes, visit, um, read to them, speak with them, have a good conversation. Just be in a space, continue to develop yourself and get skills that are practically useful. All right. Yes, soup. All right. And the last point is to keep hope alive. Yes, I fell for the career trap. Yeah, man, so many. And it's that feminist movement has done a great harm. It's probably did a little good, but a lot of harm. And we don't value family anymore. We don't value marriage anymore. Our parents, and they have taught us, just get a job and you do well in your career, so you don't need to depend on any man. Don't let any man make style on you. That's what we would say in my country. But you know, growing together and building a life together, there is value in that. It is, and even financially, there's value in there's financial success in getting married and you know serving God together and building wealth together and doing things together instead of struggling on your own. All right. And the same parents want grandchildren. Yeah, the same parents want grandchildren. So for the ones who are looking on who are younger, please don't just discard um family getting married. Maybe you can get married and nothing is wrong with that. Nothing is wrong with getting married young. All right? Get married in your 20s. Don't wait long and think I have to fix up my career, do a first degree, then a master's, then a PhD, another degree. No. You can. I know some women may disagree with me, but that is okay. I'm entitled to my opinion. Family is the foundation of society, a healthy family. Okay. And it is worthwhile to prioritize family. So for those of us who got married later in life, I am so glad to be able to um, be married and share my life with John and to just take care of our home. I really enjoy it, to be honest with you. I totally enjoy cooking and organizing my home. And I mean, I still have a career, right? And I still have this blog. And these days I'm doing sourdough bread. So I have a very full life, but I totally enjoy being um, a domestic goddess, in quotes. All right. So keep hope alive. So don't believe the lies that you're too old to get married. There are enough people in this world, and there are things that are happening constantly that it is not impossible for you to get married. If some woman could get married 2 and 3 times, why can't you get married at least once? And these women are not like in their 20s. Some women in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and they're getting married. So if nothing is, you could very well get married once. All right. Okay. So KG says having all the success and no one to share it with could be really sad. Yeah. I mean, you might have your friends and you might have your siblings, or I mean, I'm not saying that marriage is for everyone, but I do believe there's value in marriage for the kingdom marriage on a whole is makes good sense. It makes good common sense. All right. So it's not too late for you to get married. And it's just not too late. And I want you to keep hope alive. Just like, in the book of, I can't remember which book it is, but David's son with Bathsheba was dying, the firstborn that he had together. And David was praying and fasting and pleading with the Lord that the child would get better. And while the child was alive, he was doing that. But when the child died, he just got up, um, and he ate, and he was good as ever. He was not good as ever, but he was able to just, um, yeah, just realize, okay, well, God did not heal the child. The child died, but now I have to get on with life. And so my recommendation is pray. Continue to pray until the Lord takes you home or he comes back. Nothing is wrong with getting married later on in life. But as I said throughout his whole life, you have to have the mindset and you need to change in some ways that that are harming your attractiveness to the opposite sex. Okay. So did I talk about being positive and joyful? I think I did. That's important. How you can the the kind of person that you are, your character, just being someone who smiles, someone who is would give a word of encouragement, someone who is positive, someone who is a joy to be around. All these things are important if you are serious about getting married. So that person may not be in your current circle, but that does not mean that you are not connected to that person that you will possibly marry, because that person might know a family member, he might know um a friend of yours, you might know a co-worker, etc. And you just never know if you just don't know when it will happen, but it could happen. It could very well happen. And you just need one guy. You don't need to attract 10 men and all of them vying for your attention and your hand in marriage. No, you just need one. One good one. And as I said, the desire is not just to get married, but to have a Christ centered, God honoring marriage. Okay. So you have these lives every week at this time. Definitely. It is, I don't know where you're at and what time it is, but say it's 8:53 on my end. So I start at 8 o'clock every Monday. And if I don't, I probably have a very good reason. Maybe I'm not well, or maybe I'm traveling, or maybe there's no internet. That didn't happen as yet, but you just never know. And if I'm not coming on, I'll probably put it. I have done. I'll put it out on social media. So Cassie, you can follow me. Philly, eh? Nice, nice. So I'm on Eastern. So I'm on Atlantic Standard Time. So you do your calculation, and when things change, you will know that the time is such and such in your part of the world, in Philadelphia, right? So keep hope alive, all right? Do not give up and think that marriage is not for you because you're not seeing it. Just never know. Enjoy singleness, but be open to marriage and just prepare yourself. And the thing is, the same preparation you need for Christ returning is the same preparation you need to get married. You need your character to grow. You need to spread joy. You need to be a woman who will use her words well. You need to be forgiving. You need to be merciful. You need to be gracious. You need to take care of your be a good steward of your body. All these things are important. So whether you meet HIM, common him, a man, or capital HIM, Jesus, your preparation will not be wasted. I mean, you won't have to cook for Jesus, but I don't know what we'll be doing in heaven. Maybe our culinary skills might be important. I don't know, because I'm figuring there should be food, and there's so many things that'll be happening in heaven for a lifetime. Things that you never had time to explore in terms of hobbies. I feel like in heaven we'll have eternity to explore, or heaven, new heavens and new earth. All right. So that is the end of today's live. And Cassie, if you haven't, subscribe and click the notification bell so whenever I am releasing videos, because I release two types of videos. These days I've been focusing on lives, but I also have short form pre-recorded content that you can check out as well. But I'm going to start back doing that. And you can also get my newsletters because I also give additional tips in for my newsletters, and but that happens every Monday. I send out newsletters. So to join that, to get that, you can click on the link in the description, the Irresistible Godly Woman Checklist. When you click on that and you sign up, I will send you weekly Monday newsletters. Yay, subscriber. Yay, Cassie. Okay, great. So I hope this was helpful to everyone who came on and for those who will be joining in, who would be listening to the recording. Thank you so much for joining and for viewing. And of course, you can always give me feedback at Kimberly at petalsbloom.com. And if you have topics, so I have lots of topics to discuss, right? Because when I think of something or someone asks me a question, I actually have a list of ideas. So, but I mean, if you could tell me topics that you're interested in, then that'll even be more relevant. Yes. Oh, great, Cassie. So it's great. Thank you. You're welcome. You're welcome. So, everyone, have a wonderful night. And I hope and pray that this was helpful and will continue to be helpful as you put these things um, into practice. All right. Take care, everyone. Great having you all. Bye bye.